And so, Sean, let's get started. Would love to hear more about the transformational journey that you're on and really tell us about the key areas that you're focused on.
Yeah, I'll go back a couple of years as to why we want to transform. So a couple of years ago, there was a significant cost-cutting initiative across the company as the company was private and preparing to go public. And so the team was, drastically cut in terms of, resources and technology and so forth. And so basically over the past couple of years before I joined in August of 23, our function was largely keeping the lights on. And, in general, of course, we were making, an impact where we could, given the time and so forth. But the team was really just, overwhelmed with volume and just trying to keep stakeholders by, not challenging too much and so forth. So with that, I entered the picture with a relatively blank slate, which is terrifying and invigorating at the same time, because I do know the speed at which we do need to transform to become a world-class procurement organization. So with that, we did the usual process of, baselining, what we have and where our gaps were and so forth. And we came out with 4 primary objectives for the transformation. One is, and it's always top of mind in a transformation, is risk management that Neil was alluding to earlier. You can't have a solid foundation without risk as that foundation. And therefore, we've put a lot of emphasis there. More pertinent to this discussion is around supplier experience and customer experience. So we had a challenge with some of our stakeholders who, they were going out to market themselves, and then, the traditional asking us to, negotiate when the award's already been given and so forth. And so we're reframing the process and the value that we add such that, and Arkestro is a primary piece of this, to improve that experience. And we've just gone through, and we'll describe it in a minute, our first transaction using Arkestro, and I have to say the stakeholders are really thrilled, as well as the suppliers, 2 suppliers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The third is financial impact. We wouldn't be a procurement organization without having positive financial impact. The great thing here is what we saw in our first project was not only dollar financial impact, but we're going to be able to impact the financials in the way of free cash flow, in the way of getting the new payment terms that we have a policy for. And just by using new technology, what we think we're going to see, and the first project is proving this out, is that suppliers are going to be more readily accepting of new payment terms, in the case of incumbent suppliers. And then finally, scalability. And that's where we're really going to push Arkestro over the next year. Our next year starts April 1st. From that time, we're going to make our team extremely extensible. We do still have limited resources, of course. And we're not touching the amount of spend that we could be. We're just not influencing the spend that we want to. We're hitting the big stuff, but there's so much in the middle and at the tail end that we're not even considering. And we're wasting time internally with, adding 50 suppliers a month. So, as Neil was saying, being able to help with supplier selection and identification and so forth, that's going to be a huge tool for the future. But the platform itself, we plan to use to basically make our team more extensible, to hit more transactions in new areas that we haven't been able to impact before. And so we're really looking forward to that. And ours is a culture of, thankfully, we've had really high gross margins. Now we're a public company again, and we're going to have a lot of pressure on free cash flow, operating margins, and so forth. So we have a renewed emphasis as a company on cost containment, and that's helping our case for procurement and for using Arkestro as well.
That's great, Sean. Exciting. And we're excited to be a partner with you. Could you talk to us a little bit more about the cost savings initiatives and a little bit more about how that part of it is playing with the use of Arkestro and your initiatives?
Yes. So we have defined savings targets for the coming fiscal year. We just signed off on those. And without new technology, without having that extensible resource and team, we wouldn't be able to achieve I'm confident we would not be able to achieve the numbers that we're being asked to deliver. With the tool, we're going to be able to extend from, having a material impact on transactions. Right now, we're hitting only about 20% where we truly have an impact on a given transaction. What we believe the platform is going to allow us to do is hit more close to 60%. And the rest is truly tail spend, like, less than $10,000 or something like that. And we'll improve things via, P cards and catalogs and so forth that way. But for that middle to large spend, we're going to be really focusing on making our team much more extensible. So to give you an example, there are a couple of subcategories that we've never touched. We've allowed the business to kind of renew contracts without really challenging things. We've gotten buy-in from those groups to start to look at, what are the opportunities. So for instance, one of the next projects that we think we're going to undertake with using Arkestro is simply to gather existing pricing data from one of those subcategories, and then use the tool later to negotiate with those suppliers. But using the tool just to gather our benchmark data is significant. We could do it via spreadsheets, and we all know the clumsiness of that, and things get lost, and having it in the platform is going to help tremendously. And our belief is that we just for that little small subcategory, we believe we're going to hit a 30% savings. So we're looking forward to using the tool to do that baselining and then get into the negotiations.
Wow, Sean, that's incredible results just as you're getting started here. So I'm sure we'll look forward to hearing more about that. So just talking a little bit more, if you can tell us a little bit more about the project and the strategy that you have adopted throughout the organization. What are some things that you're doing that's making it successful, or you feel you're going to need to do to make it even more successful?
Yeah, so the project that we just wrapped up, and we're super happy to report that the incremental results look like a 16% savings. And this is on a commodity product that we've bought many, many times in the past. So it was a spot buy of 500, really high performance servers, at our spec, and tight timelines and so forth kind of relegated us to looking at only 2 suppliers. And the tool has really delivered. So the Arkestro team also delivered, I have to say. Within a week of us even engaging with Arkestro to say this is the first project we want to do, within a week, we had boots on the ground. We launched the project. We completed the project, and using game theory and getting the dynamic feedback and so forth, and it's worked. So not only was the tool very useful, the platform very useful, but the Arkestro team was tremendous, helping us get set up, running that first event side by side. We're going to do a couple more in that fashion. We're getting trained up really quickly and so forth. So we're super, super excited about that. Likewise, the suppliers seem to like the experience as well. Our initial indications are that they've had a really good experience. We're going to do a deep dive, of course, but also our team has enjoyed the process as well. So again, this was not a small buy either. It's a spot buy, but we're talking about 500 high performance servers, so somewhere in the $10 million range. So we couldn't be more pleased about that. So in terms of the strategy to have this adopted by the organization, I don't think we're going to have a hard sell. I don't think many of our employees want to continue working in email and spreadsheets. So again, initial feedback from the team has been extremely positive as well in terms of ease of use, results, et cetera. That being said, we all know that a lot of sourcing people are really good at negotiations and it's their favorite thing in the world to do. I'm very careful to say that, you know, we are not going to use Arkestro for every single. They need to keep their negotiation skills honed as well. But that being said, I would be hard pressed to say we do anything less than, let's say, 75, 80%, maybe even 90% of our transactions where we're going to engage with suppliers on negotiations will be done through the platform. One of the reasons we also, you know, looked at Arkestro really hard was we're looking at new talent. So we are rebuilding our team. And that new talent, they don't want to work in spreadsheets and email either. And so using a platform like this, during the recruiting process, we can talk about our tech stack and so forth. And the fact that we have a platform like our Arkestro gives the indication that, you know, we're very forward looking and it aligns with our corporate mission. You know, let's face it, ARM is, you know, at one of the top high-tech companies in the world right now. You know, we're at the bleeding edge of technology and semiconductors and so forth. And so, you know, using spreadsheets and email would be incongruous with our overall corporate mission and what we do as a company. So it aligns in so many different ways. So with that, you know, the other part of it is, you know, the platform learns from itself. So we're looking forward to, as we get into more and more transactions, to see that at work. You know, we've seen it in demos and so forth, but now the team's really excited to see what it's like in real life, in real practice.
Yeah, that's great, Sean. Appreciate all the sharing and the project, and even hearing about how the suppliers are excited about joining and being a part of the ecosystem as well is exciting to hear. And I guess I'm just going to leave on one quick note, maybe just the why Arkestro, and I think you addressed it a little bit, but maybe just a quick final note on why Arkestro.
So from the very first communications with Arkestro to the present, all the way from, you know, designing the solution for us in terms of the contract and so forth, I felt like Arkestro was listening from the beginning and not just dictating, well, this is what we do. You either fit with our model or you don't. It was the exact opposite. Very, very customer focused. I believe, you know, they're really listening to their customers, and then all the way to the present with that training that I mentioned, and, you know, sitting side by side with us for the first transactions has been, you know, extremely valuable. You know, we're so quick to get the platform deployed and actively used. So really excited about that. And then secondly, you know, we're just looking at, you know, both complex events and quick spot buys. So, you know, that ease of use is really key. Speed is really key, as I mentioned. You know, we need this platform to be more extensible. You know, I wish I had this tool 14 years ago when I did a utility MRO RFP. It was 6,000 line items, 220 suppliers. Doing that in spreadsheets took months just to do the analysis. If we had this platform, it would have taken a couple of weeks at the most, I would say. Yeah. And then, you know, the back and forth between, you know, our buyers and suppliers. We're seeing that the suppliers appreciate the transparency and efficiency of the process. And we're looking forward to using the tool more and more.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, Sean. We certainly appreciate you joining us today, and we're looking forward to a partnership with such a leading edge customer, and look forward to the many results and the strong partnership we'll have going forward.